Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2018 and the fourth part of this experiment where we're taking a look at what would happen if you gave a non-league team the perfect shell. Now if you haven't already seen the past 3 episodes you should go and watch them because you can see already here the meteoric rise they've had from the Vanarama regional leagues all the way up to the Premier League with consecutive titles the entire way. And then managing to continue to improve in the Premier League, finishing 5th last season. They now have Jose Mourinho in charge, but more importantly, if we look at their trophy cabinet, you can see they've won 2 Europa Leagues, which is so impressive. It's given them European football. They're yet to win a European Super Cup, but they do have some excellent trophies in their cabinet already, and I am sure there are more to come. So what we're going to do today is go forward 1 year at a time, 5 years across. The reason I'm doing it slowly at the minute is because they are so close to some major titles and I don't want to rush through that. So we'll do 1 year up to 5 and then I think the next episode will be the last one if there is one. So make sure to drop a like on the video if you want to see one more part to this. You can also enter a free giveaway for 2 shirts. Just click the link to my Twitter in the description and you'll be able to enter that giveaway. So yeah, let's go forward 1 year and see how Harrogate have done. Well, here is the fixture list for that season that's just gone by, and you can see it started off incredibly well. Only 1 defeat, and that was to West Brom. They managed to get a good draw in the Europa League. 3 teams they were always going to beat, and it looks like they might have got 6 for 6. They actually did get 6 for 6. They also beat Chelsea 1-0 in the Carabao Cup final. Went through in the FA Cup 3rd round, drew 2-2 at home with United, which is always going to be difficult, and in the return leg, they actually won 2-1 away from home to put themselves into the Carabao Cup final and have a chance of winning it. They've gone out to Burnley in the FA Cup, which is unfortunate, and then they beat Rapid Vienna across 2 legs there, 8-1 in the first knockout round, but lost the Carabao Cup final to Man City. Martinez sent off after 5 minutes. They were already a goal down in the first minute, and that was a very difficult game for them to come back in, and they didn't manage to do it, but they did beat West Ham 3-0 away from home and 2-0 at home to put themselves into the quarterfinals of the Europa League, where they beat Bilbao 2-1 away, a very good result there, and won 1-0 at home, so they're into the semis. Can they win this again? They're 4-1 up against Lazio in the first leg. In the second leg, 2-0 as well. They have romped through the Europa League. I think they've won every single match they've played in the competition, and they are into the final where they won against Roma 2-1, which means that they have now won the Europa League 3 times in the last 4 seasons. I think Sevilla managed to do that not too long ago. You can see they won it 3 times in 3 seasons, so just off the boil there. But it means they're back into the Champions League next season, and that is very, very impressive. If we look at the Premier League, then we can see that they have managed to finish reasonably well, but just missing out on automatic promotion, automatic qualification for the Champions League. So good thing they won the Europa League in the end. Not too far off the pace, 10 points off the title. I think by the end of this episode, they will be pushing for that title. So let's go forward another year and see how they get on. Well, we are another year into the future and you can see they finally won the European Super Cup. A last-minute winner from Larry Giroux has beaten Real Madrid, the Champions League winners, and given them a major piece of European silverware. They then lost to Chelsea at the start of the season, but back in the Champions League, 3-0 against CSKA Moscow, 3-0 against Ajax, and 2-1 against Napoli. That's a good draw for them, and they've got 9 points out of 9 there. They lost to Man City in the Carabao Cup, but beat Napoli again, lost to CSKA Moscow and beat Ajax 6-0, surely winning the group there. A huge win, that one. As we go down through the season, their league form pretty good, actually. There's a few defeats in there, through in the FA Cup and in the 4th round as well. Through in the 5th round, beat Monaco 2-0 away from home in the Champions League knockouts 1st round. And then at home, they won 1-0 as well, 3-0, so into the quarterfinals of the Champions League and through in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. They were against Chelsea at home, 2-0 defeat there in the first leg of that Champions League quarterfinal. In the return fixture, lost 1-0, knocked out by Chelsea. But through against Man City in the FA Cup, which is a competition they haven't won, and in the final they won on penalties against Chelsea, a measure of revenge there against a team that knocked them out of the Champions League, and that is yet another trophy in the cabinet for them. And as you can see, the Premier League went very, very well for them. And if we look at that table, then you can see that Harrogate actually managed to finish second, just missing out by 1 goal on the title. Can you believe that? The most wins in the league, but beaten by 1 goal on goal difference. That is so harsh. They do have an FA Cup in the locker. I said they would, by the end of this episode, they'd be challenging for the title. They've done it within 2 years. And with Jose Mourinho in charge, how much can they achieve? Because they have already now won several awards. Chelsea have won the title the last 3 seasons here. But if we look at the competitions of Harrogate now, then you can see they've got runner-up in the Premier League. They've won an FA Cup, got a European Super Cup, and 3 Europa Leagues. They are racking up the trophies. And let's go forward and see if they can finally summit the Premier League. Well, of course, because of where they finished, they were in the Community Shield from the FA Cup. They lost that through 3-2 to Chelsea, but they did go back into the Champions League group stages, beat Benfica, beat Celtic, drew with AC Milan, knocked out the Carabao Cup again, drew with AC Milan again. They need some more results, beat Benfica and beat Celtic as well. Definitely going through into the Champions League knockout stages. A couple of back-to-back defeats there against Liverpool and United will not help them, but through in the FA Cup and the 4th round. Drew in the 5th round, but beat Napoli 2-1 away from home in the Champions League first knockout round. And in the return leg, they did win 3-1. A lot of games there in between those Champions League ties, but through in the FA Cup to the quarterfinals of both of these competitions now. Beat Everton 3-1 in the FA Cup and beat AC Milan 2-1. Remember, they drew their 2 games in the group stage. Can they make the semi-finals? They drew 1-1 with AC Milan, so they are into the Champions League semi-finals. They lost to Man City in the semi-final. 2 back-to-back defeats here, and then lost to Chelsea 2-1 in the Champions League semis at home as well. And in the return leg, they won 1-0, but they went out on away goals. Chelsea, absolutely their nemesis at the moment in this save. So no silverware this season for them. And in the Premier League, they did finish 4th, which will guarantee them Champions League football, but definitely taking a step back this season as Chelsea romp home with the title. At least the goal difference was in their favour this time, pipping Arsenal by 1 goal. But unfortunate that they've fallen so far off the pace. Mourinho is still in charge, so let's go forward another year and see if they can finally get that title. Well, back in the Champions League again, and they're doing pretty well in the group stage now. Good draws, to be fair, but they've managed to get 3 straight wins there. Knocked out the Carabao Cup by Burnley, beat Copenhagen, Fenerbahce, and then drew with Porto, just losing their perfect record at the end there. But into the knockout stage of the Champions League, out of the FA Cup by Swansea, but beat Barcelona 2-1 away from home at the Nou Camp and 1-0 at home to make the Champions League quarterfinals. That is a really good result. Their league form struggling quite a bit and lost 2-0 away to Atletico Madrid. In the return, they did win 2-1, but a late Hudson Costa goal knocked them out. They would have needed 2 more to go through there. So they don't actually have anything to play for after that this season. It's a pretty disappointing season all in all, actually, for the club. Finishing 4th in the Premier League as well will not have helped them. Did it by just 1 point over Manchester United. Again, Chelsea taking the title. That is now 5 consecutive titles for Chelsea, who are absolutely dominating the league. And it's going to take a lot for Harrogate to be able to get above them. But we've got 1 more season to go. Can they get success in this final season? Well, it's the last time we're going to look at this in this episode. And as you can see, a tough draw in the Champions League this time. They did beat Bayern Munich 2-0. Beat Brøndby as well, so that's 3 wins from 3. Drew with Brøndby and Porto and then lost to Bayern. But luckily, those first 3 wins should have carried them through on 11 points. Through in the Carabao Cup quarter-final, beating Chelsea. Lost 3-1 to United away from home. And at home, they won 3-2 but still got knocked out. Not good there. Through in the FA Cup, and I'm not seeing Champions League. There it is, 3-0 against Barcelona there at home. In the return leg, they drew 0-0, enough to get them into the quarterfinals. Another season here. Beat West Ham in the FA Cup. Drew with Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. That is a cracking result. And at home, they won 3-0. So they've knocked out Barcelona and Real Madrid here to make it into the semi-finals of the Champions League, where they lost to Arsenal in the FA Cup, but in the Champions League, 2-0 away from home in Paris. They are knocking the biggest clubs in Europe out here. And in the home leg, they lost 3-1, a 90th minute winner for PSG after Doumbia got a goal that looked like it would send Harrogate to the Champions League final, but knocked out at the semi-final stage again. Very, very unfortunate for Harrogate. They are getting closer and closer to the top though. And at least this time Chelsea did not win the league. Harrogate still some 7 points off the title there, but finished well clear of Manchester United, which is good news at least. And they are now definitely a top 4 club, but their consecutive 4th place finishes are not ideal. So no new silverware for a little while now. You can say Diego Simeone now the manager instead of Jose Mourinho. They are picking up the best managers in the world, but they have not added to this trophy cabinet in a few years, which is a little bit unfortunate. 3 years now without the trophy. But they are getting closer, there's no doubt about that. So drop a like on this video. I think next time I'll go 10 years ahead. If you guys do want to see a next part, do let me know. I'll go 10 years ahead and see if they manage to win anything. Make sure to enter the giveaway using the link to Twitter down in the description. You can also subscribe to the channel for this new part when it comes out in a couple of days' time. But until next time, see ya!